9 years ago, I quit my stable 9 to 5 job. Everyone was thinking that I was crazy. I had no plan B, no security, no big savings. In this video, I'm going to share with you what happened and was it worth it. I'm sharing my honest experience and what happened in all these years after quitting my 9 to 5 job. Why I quit my 9 to 5 job. I invested so many years in that kind of study program, and it was a lot of work if you have studied yourself and made a kind of degree. You know by yourself that it's hard, it's a lot of effort and work. I did that. I got that job that is basically non-terminable because it's a kind of contract that is very safe. So I had that safety, I earned good money, and I wasted a very big part of my life. I invested in getting that kind of job, and then I worked there for some years, and there came a point where I was sitting, I can remember that point, I was sitting in that office and I felt like if I am sitting here 1 hour more, I'm wasting my lifetime and it's absolutely not worth it. So I was working in that office every day and it felt horrible because all that atmosphere, not the work in itself, okay, the work in itself might be not that interesting, there's not that super crazy purpose that I'm achieving with that kind of work. This is one thing, okay? But the other part is I'm sitting every day in that office. My health is bad. The food is very bad. I feel like in a prison. I'm surrounded by all that people that are very depressed. All that atmosphere is very depressed. I think 99% of the people are only coming because they want the money, so they just work because of the money for nothing else. Most of them, I felt. So all that atmosphere in that office was like that, and I guess many of you have the same experiences. In this moment, I was not ready to invest 1 more hour into that life. I gathered that courage. I quit that job. So the first year after quitting my job, I maybe did that mistake. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe it's just part of that journey. Somebody brought that other job to me, and it was kind of like part-time, 50%. And I say, okay, it's somehow different because it's not that kind of big company. It's like a startup, small with young people, and I'm only working 50%, so I have 50% off, and I can invest that time in doing whatever is interesting for me, whatever I enjoy to do. So I took that job and I tried that for I think about a year to do that, and it was a very interesting time. I had 50% of the time that I worked before to do other stuff and to follow my interests, and that was very helpful because in this time I read a lot. I was inspired by different kind of people, and I started to do yoga. I felt it was very helpful for my body. I enjoyed that. I even did a yoga teacher training. So I went very deep into that yoga stuff. Then I discovered meditation, and something changed immediately in my life. I went on that path of mindfulness. It brought a lot of things into my life. Somehow there was a shift in my mind. Till the end of that first year after quitting my job, I felt that yoga is not my path because it's very repetitive. So it felt like a cage for me. It felt good for the body, and that bodily movement I felt is very nice. But as I discovered meditation, I felt like yoga is a good exercise for the body, but it doesn't go that deep. So I never felt like teaching any kind of yoga because it was just not my path. So I was interested to go very deep into meditation. I tried many kind of different types of meditation. That's why at one point I really had that feeling to travel to India and to go deeper into that. Because in India I heard of a place where you can do all kind of meditation techniques, and I really wanted to dive deep into that and into myself. So I took some time off of that job that I did, and I traveled to India alone. It was absolutely crazy because now it's not that crazy anymore. I hear from a lot of people that they are traveling to India and doing this stuff, but at this time for me as a woman alone, it was a very exciting experience to travel to India. At the airport, I took a taxi to drive to that meditation place where I went. And the taxi driver, what he asked me, I can remember this because it was very interesting. He said, "But I don't understand why all these German people, they are coming to India to find some kind of happiness. They are so unhappy and depressed in Germany," he said to me. I didn't know what to reply because for me at this time he was right. I felt like this, but I didn't know why. So this was very funny. Then I arrived at this place in India. This experience changed my life completely. For me, it's undescribable. I had such deep experiences, insights, and met so different kind of people from all over the world that everything was changing for me. I was there for 1 month and I had the flight back. But then after that 1 month, everything inside of me changed and I felt like I want to stay longer. So I wrote a message to my boss and I said I have to stay longer. And luckily he said, "Okay, no problem, we will find a way." So I decided to stay longer, and I didn't know at this time how long would I stay. So people at home, they were a bit worried because they didn't know what happened to me and how everything is changing. So I went even deeper into myself and meditated a lot. I quit also that part-time job in India. I decided that I cannot do that anymore. It's somehow the same as before, so it might be better, it's lesser work, but I also felt like somehow I'm wasting my life. I cannot do this anymore. So I quit this job again. And after another month in India, I felt like returning. So I returned from India without having any job, completely jumping into the unknown and not knowing what will happen. So it was really exciting, but at the same time, it was very clear for me. So there was no doubt for me to start that new life. And it was absolutely clear that to start that new life, I have to quit the old life, because a lot of people, they are thinking that in order to start a new life, I first have to have that new life. I have to have a new job. I have to have that safety so that I can quit my old job. For me, that's not true. In order to start something new, we have to get rid of the old so that there is that open space, that new space where the new can enter. Because if we are occupied with that 9 to 5 job that we have, all our life is basically full with that, and we are not open and we don't have that space where that new can enter. If we jump into that unknown and we quit that job, automatically we become that much open and new things can enter into our life, and they will enter into our life. So I started into that new life again. I had that feeling to share the meditation techniques that I learned with people that are working in that surrounding that I worked before. So I did different kind of workshops in companies with meditative practices, mindfulness, and at this time it was really a strange topic for that people. Now I know that there are many people are doing this, but as I started, there were not so many people and there was not that interest as you are having now. Also, I discovered in India that I love to paint. I tried that in one evening and I just felt like I want to continue painting. So I painted a lot, and also I sold some paintings, I did exhibitions. All this for me felt like a very free life, because I was working with topics that I enjoy. Before, I was working in a company. I did that job, but it was not really my interest. Okay, I was interested at that time in these kind of topics, but I was not working for me. I was working for some bank. It didn't feel like I'm doing something every day that I enjoy. It felt like doing something for the money, but I'm not really enjoying it, and it was quite boring for me after some years, because it's repeating itself, and also the things that I did were very specific. So I always felt like I didn't get that interesting overview over things. I'm just doing that special tiny part, and that was not fulfilling for me. So then I worked really with topics that I was interested in, and I met people that were also interested in that kind of topics, and that was very nice. I also enjoyed to paint, but later I stopped to sell paintings because I realized that somehow to paint is one thing and enjoy to paint is one thing, but to make a business out of that is a completely different kind of thing. I enjoyed the painting because I love that process. I enjoy to paint. But if I'm painting and I know I want to sell these paintings, there's already something changing in the mind. So I didn't feel that it's that free. COVID came and this again changed everything in my life because suddenly it was not possible to do that offline workshops, to do exhibitions. I lost a lot of money because of that. In the first place, I didn't know what to do. At this time, I was still living in Germany, and the situation I felt with that COVID was really bad. Also, the business was not going good because of that. And then suddenly there was that possibility to travel to Italy and to live close to the sea in an apartment close to the sea and to do a project there. I took that possibility immediately. I traveled there, and from the very first moment it felt like coming home. It's difficult to describe because it's not a very special city. It's not that one thing that I can say is extremely special about that area, but altogether the nature, the closeness to the sea, the lifestyle, the people, the food, the sun, everything in total felt like home, and I stayed there. So if I would have had a 9 to 5 job somewhere, it would have not been possible to take that opportunity. And I know so many people, because I meet them here, that are dreaming of living here at some point of their lives when they retire. But it always stays with dreaming until you do it. You don't know what will happen when you retire, if you will be healthy enough, if you have the courage then, because if you become older, you might not have that courage to change the country and just go and live somewhere else. It sounds simple, but you have to take that courage to leave everything behind and start that new life without knowing what will happen, how you can earn money. It's not sure, but I just felt in that moment that I want to stay there, and I stayed there. And there were so many difficulties. I mean, I can share a lot of stories about Italian bureaucracy. It's incredible. I mean, still until now, every day, if there's something with Italian bureaucracy, it's absolutely horrible. And it seems like impossible to manage. I didn't even speak Italian, and as you traveled one time to Italy in your life, you will realize that most of the people here, they are not speaking English or very bad English. So there were so many challenges and difficulties, but I fell in love with that place. That's the power. So once you fall in love with something, everything else, I feel, will find its way somehow. I was living in Italy for 3 years, and then that project ended, and I couldn't live in that apartment any longer. So I had to find another place where to live, and it was very, very difficult because this place here in the summer, there come a lot of tourists here. And as you can imagine, with the tourism, all that people here, they are renting apartments in the summer, and they earn a lot of money with that. So the prices are very high because of that. It was impossible to find something for rent. Then I thought, okay, maybe it's the time to try something different. And then I searched all over the world, really, because at that time I started to work online as a freelancer, so it was possible for me to work from everywhere. And I looked all over the world. I found a house because I felt like I want to have more space. I felt a house, and it was on a Greek island, Paros, maybe you know it. It looks so beautiful. If you have seen pictures of Greece, you might have seen these white cities, and it was really that house, white, in the middle of kind of small town on that island. It looked so beautiful, and I just took that and said, okay, now I'm moving to Greece. It turned out, unfortunately, that this Greek island was not the place for me to live. I cannot tell you how much money it cost, how much work it was to move there with all that stuff. It was very depressing to realize that this was not a good idea, and I have to get out of there. So Greece and this Greek island may be a very good place for vacation, but if you are living there in reality, there are too many tourists, really. I mean, the traffic in the summer, it's unbelievable. The water looks very nice, blue, but it is cold all the year. There's wind all the year, so what you are not seeing on that pictures that are looking that nice is that there's cold wind all the year. So in the winter it's even more cold than Italy, and for me this is too cold. Then there are no trees basically, so in the summer you have no shade. It's 40 degrees. It's really too hot to do anything outside in the summer. Also, these tourists are in front of my house all the day, so I didn't like that. I also felt it's too far away from civilization. You can buy stuff on that island and you can order stuff online and the parcels, they arrive. But if you need something and you order something, it takes weeks until it arrives on that island. If you have any kind of health problems, it's not possible to find a good doctor on that island. You have to travel to Athens, and that's a long journey. It's not that short. So living that island life didn't feel good. I had to face that I lost a lot of money. My health was even worse than ever before, because the food that I could get on that island, it was full of pesticides. I made blood tests all the time, but they were not good, so I was not in a good condition. And I had to find a way how to come out of that. The good thing was that online freelance business was running very good, so I had some money, but still it hurt a lot to lose all that money for moving to that island, and it felt very hard to move somewhere else again, and I didn't know where to move because the rents are getting higher and higher anywhere in the world, and I enjoy to live close to the sea, and everywhere where it's nice, where you have some kind of infrastructure, where it's next to the sea, of course there's a lot of tourism. And it's worldwide like that. So I was looking for months for an apartment house somewhere in the world, and it didn't went good. So there was a lot of disappointment. The prices were too high. it was not possible for some kind of reasons. And after months, it was crazy. I tried it again in Italy, next to that place where I lived before. Suddenly, I found that house for a price that was okay. It worked out. It was really like a miracle for me. So I moved back to Italy from Greece, and since then I'm living in Italy next to the sea, and I'm enjoying that nature. I love that place. It's absolutely beautiful. So if you ask me, was it worth it? I can tell you, yes, definitely yes, because now I live a life that is much more free. I live in a place that I really enjoy, that is beautiful, that I feel at home. I can structure the time during my day how I want. I have the time and space to do things that I enjoy, that I didn't have before in that 9 to 5 job. It's like working all the day and then having that short weekend where you have that many kind of appointments. So it felt like it's never enough time. And now I have that freedom, that time to enjoy all that things. My life has become much more slow and relaxed. Of course, there were so many difficulties on that way, so it didn't feel always like it was the best choice. On some days, of course, I thought maybe it was a bad idea, but I can tell you every challenge that you're facing will transform you and will lead to growth. And for me, it's absolutely worth it. So on that journey, I faced so many different kind of situations and challenges. This for me is life. To work in that 9 to 5 job, it somehow always felt boring. So now my life is not boring anymore. There are challenges, but also they give me the possibility to grow, to discover new perspectives, to live a life that feels free. So if you're thinking about quitting your 9 to 5 job, I can tell you, thinking will not help. You just have to jump. There will not be that point where you have all the security, all that safety, all that savings that will give you that security. This point will never come. So either you jump or you will never jump. And I'm not saying it's the best for everybody to leave the 9 to 5 job. I don't know how I can know. It's impossible. For some people it might be the better choice, and it's very relaxing for them to work in a 9 to 5 job. But for me, it was absolutely worth it. And if you're thinking about it, I can encourage you to just try it, because I tell you, there will always be a 9 to 5 job, and you will find another job even for more money. I'm absolutely sure, because that idea that if I'm quitting now, I will not have that position, that money. It's just all in your mind. Every day there are so many possibilities, and to go back, in my experience, is very easy. So at least I think you can try it. Otherwise, you waste your life and think about it. But this will not help. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video could be an inspiration for you. If you have your own experiences with quitting your job, or you're thinking about quitting your job, please share your thoughts, your experiences in the comments below this video. I wish you a beautiful day, and hope to see you in the next video.